Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the afternoon session. I'm sure it's slightly difficult to sit through this afternoon session, but I hope we are going to make it exciting because we are going to have some activities after our talk. To begin with, let me introduce myself. At the moment, I'm working as a faculty at PAF for past 3 years. Prior to this, I was in the industry, starting from export houses like RMX Jaws. Then I was abroad for about 10 years in UAE. Then I came back, and for last 6 years, like before joining PAF, I was with Gap Sourcing Office. And my work was mainly doing R&D work, that is research and development in the fabric, and doing trend forecasting and developing fabrics for each season. And at the moment, I'm teaching fabric sourcing analysis, fabric study, trims, etc. in Pearl Academy of Fashion. So that's my brief introduction. And for this session, as the title says, we are going to run you through sourcing and procuring from organized and disintegrated supply chain, which is an exciting feature we have in India. And then we'll take you over through merchandising and also planning and inventory management. For the session, we are 3 speakers, as we have already been introduced, and each one will introduce themselves more briefly later. So we have Nupur, who will take you through supply chain and merchandising, and Tarun Pandey, who will take us through planning and inventory management, which will complete the whole chain, and then we'll have a short activity where we are carrying certain garments, and we'll go through the activity. Now, to begin with, like when we have to talk about fabric, if we consider the textile industry, it is not only the textile that we speak of, but even till the garmenting stage is involved into the textile industry. Fabric being such an important part, that the term textile industry is used in totality for the garment manufacturing process till the garment reaches the store. So fabric happens to be the most important part of the garment, and we don't say garment industry, we talk it as a textile industry. And hence, if you look into the vital textile chain, which is like your fiber, yarn, fabric, garmenting, retailing, and consumer, we'll see that a major part of it, which is starting from your fiber, yarn, and fabric, and of course, even in the garmenting, till the garmenting stage, we know it is the fabric. And also the consumer's choice, what he wants, gets reflected on the fiber, and then that's how the whole chain is reflective, and it goes in the cyclic manner. Like suppose, for example, there is a particular, pardon? Okay. Yeah, suppose if we have some fiber which is the most exciting fiber for the season, we know that we have to go with it. So a steady of fiber, yarn, and fabric till the chain gets completed, till the consumer, is extremely important. Now, a brief about what our textile industry is about. I'm sure we all know these figures, and we are quite accustomed to knowing that 30% of our total export income is generated by textile industry alone. Now, looking at the revenues, like if it's 30%, the volume is extremely high, which gives an employment to a large number of people, making it the second largest industry. And also, textile industry is not just an ordinary industry. It is a very technical area where a lot of, it means it's not an ordinary industry. So it's an industrial production that we are dealing with. Now, what challenges we have? Because as a sourcing person, we have a lot of challenges before us, because we have made ourselves in the global scenario. Our presence has been in the global scenario, and we have to cope up with a lot of challenges. First being our long manufacturing and delivery time. This is the A point where we have to really, really work hard. And as the supply chain is, and the lead times are contracting and shrinking, we have to really look into this area. Then also we lack a lot on the R&D effort. When we try to compare ourselves as to what Japan is doing, what Italy is doing, what Turkey is doing, when we look into our fabrics, we definitely know that we lack a lot. Process control is another area where we are trying to grow a lot, but still we are not up to the mark. Outdated technology and competitive markets, definitely. That has become a great challenge for us. Why is sourcing so important? And we know this picture very clear, where we see the fabric makes it 59% and trim is 16 and the rest goes. So the total of actually sourcing is 75%. That is like 59 for the fabric and 16. So it's a major chunk of your value of a garment is what the fabric is all about. So all your decisions, how you take your decisions about sourcing the fabric happens to be the most challenging and the most important part of your whole chain. Now, how do we define sourcing? Now, we immediately come up with ideas like we should match the cost, we should match the time, and things like that. But to precisely define sourcing, we can define sourcing as delivering service satisfaction, which include all the other facets, that is your costing, lead time, quality. But we are not talking of those. We also have to first understand what a buyer wants. That's the most important aspect. And after we understand what the buyer wants, we also need to know what is important to the buyer. Out of the different criterias, what is the priority or what is most important, and definitely to make ourselves perfect or somebody who is coming or approaching us for the first time, and to gain their confidence, we should deliver flawlessly. And that is how once the buyer is confident about our deliveries and our sourcing strengths, then only we can get repeated orders. So we have to assure that flawless delivery. Now, how do we attract business? Because now we have made ourselves globally, our presence is felt everywhere, but we have to go on and on because the challenge is greater now. So first of all, we have to be aware of our strengths and weaknesses. Where we have our strengths, we have to take them further. Where we have our weaknesses, we have to see that we cope up with them and see that we don't show them as our weaknesses. We can definitely see that we are aware of our weaknesses, but then definitely it shouldn't get translated into the product, and we have to overcome those. Then promoting in an innovative way is also a very important thing. There would be simple things, the basic voiles or the basic cambrics we are running through day in and day out, but how do we present them? How do we take it further is also important. So we have to learn art of presenting in an innovative way. Exhibit newness. Try to search what is happening. Where are where can we bring newness? Support designers with inspirational ideas. And I'm telling you, this is the key. Because before the trend forecasting is done and before they are trying to actually design for the season, they are looking for inspirational ideas. That is the time, if you try to load them with the right ideas at the right time, they are very supportive to you, and the orders depend a lot on that stage rather than after getting the sampling. Sampling is that is the second stage. But how do you inspire the designers with what qualities we have and what products we have or the fabrics we have is extremely important. And this brings a lot of chunk of orders to the sourcing hub. The strengths of coordination and control. This is extremely important because, again, we shouldn't lose the control. We have to go on coordinating between the buyers and our suppliers and the people within the office, and should have a complete control of the product that we are trying to promote. Should negotiate and monitor. Again, eagle's eye to monitor as to what would be the possibility of going wrong and how do we manage, and negotiate, understanding what the other businesses are doing and how we can negotiate and bring things forward to our buyers. And improve and add value at all given stages. Even if the fabric has been chosen, you can see that how you can enhance it further and further and further. So it's an endless process. Okay, one slide has gone somewhere. Before I come to this slide, I will just try to tell you a brief thing that knowing our weaknesses and strengths, what we are blessed with in India is about having the beauty of having three sectors. That is our handloom sector, then we have our powerloom sector and the made sector. Now, no other country is having a handloom sector as big as what we have. And then we have this in-between powerloom sector, which has both the characteristics of a handloom and a mill, which is about like 64%. And the rest, 39%, is handlooms, and mill is just 3%. So our main strength is between this developing qualities, which could be the niche qualities out of the handloom and also from the powerloom sector. So powerloom happens to be a very important sector. And that is a very important area for Indians to source and show the qualities. I'm carrying a number of swatches, which I can exhibit it later. So coming to handlooms. Now, we all have seen a number of handlooms at different places. But the beauty of it is that we have a total control, and there are, like, the kind of designs that we can produce on handlooms are extremely exclusive. So let's look at a few special features. Of course, it's India's strength, and we know the kind of fabrics we have are exclusive. We have our Maheshwaris and Jamdanis and Paithanis and Patolas, which nowhere in the world that you get to see. But these design arts have to be translated into something which is bulk feasible. So I don't know how many export houses do we have people who are trained to understand the traditional textiles and translate them and do some research. It's vibrating. Okay, okay. It will, the voice will go. It's okay. Sorry. So it's a big strength for us. Okay, so the thing is that we have to explore this, and the best thing is that it has exclusive designs. And the design inspirations and all can be really, really explored, and we have highly skilled laborers, and these laborers are people who are working in the family for generations. Though we have some handicaps, like later I will discuss about it, but there is still a lot that we can explore and bring it as newness or innovation. And being in the industry, I know there are people who go only for what the buyers are asking. We don't really give innovation, and we are really having that area where we can really fill it up. We are deficit in giving those new ideas. We have stream of designs and stream of technology and techniques that we can bring it forward and attract more orders. Of course, the government has given this industry some subsidies, and we also have rebates, so we can tap upon those. Now, the industry of handloom is to both the areas. Either we have a very niche market where we see a lot of boutique stuff, like our designers who go into this area and they bring those ideas, like, you know, Maheshwaris and Patolas and all those kind of, they sit down with the weavers and they can really make, that becomes an exclusive thing. But there, of course, for export also, there is something that in between we can make it bulk feasible and take it forward. And of course, the handloom also deals with the rural market. The disadvantages that we should look into before we really jump into the idea that, oh, we have a traditional handloom and we should try to promote it, we should have to play it very carefully, because the productivity rate is extremely slow. They only produce 6 to 8 yards per day. The general production is for local market, and they're always depending upon the other sector for the supply of the chain. They're not spinning the yarn. Properties are to be taken care of, and they work on low budget. These people are usually not supported with big finances, that we try to load them with big order. Maybe we get really excited that we have an order on ICAHT, and let's give it to our weavers, but they sometimes won't have the resources to buy the yarn and make it. So they work on low budget. So we can be supportive, and there are companies who are doing it. They're bringing them forward. IKEA being one of them, I think so they are going into the areas where they can provide them with funds and raise their productivity. Also, they have difficulty in working with the direct buyers. Now, looking at the mapping, we have like 3.9 million handlooms and 6 to 7 million people employed in this. And handlooms is not one corner of India that we have. It's scattered all over. We have to just explore and find it. Now, this map is something which is showing that how densely it is located, which is showing some powerlooms and handlooms. Now, the area where we have our strength is the powerloom. And the special features is that it enjoys the incentives of the government, involves medium technology. So it's not too much of a fund that the people have to invest. So investment per unit is comparatively small. The capital output ratio is favorable, improved efficiency and productivity, and exemption from excise duties. So the kind of benefits we have, and we should really look into our Palm sector, because the kind of qualities which are getting produced are not ordinary. They match to the mill mates. And we can have a general comparison about having better lead time based on the limited weaving, not too many systems in planning. It's an open market. The term open market is something that the technology is identical around the same area. So sometimes if you want to, if one mill gets overloaded with orders, we can move it to the other also, or we can have it shared amongst them. That's an open market. Yarn is brought from the market and no processing queue. So it's something that we can really control and manage. Price factor is almost a difference of, like, looking at the basic quality, about 85 cents of difference, less of overheads, and these are the few reasons why the prices are low and we save. Flexibility in quantity. The minimums. We have a great problem handling the minimums. That is one area where the fabric sourcing person really faces a challenge, is how to manage or cope up with the minimums. So Palm is another sector where the minimums can be managed. 1,000 yards can be, otherwise for a mill we have to at least book 5,000 yards. And of course, when the minimums are not met, we all know that we have to pay about 1.5 to 2.5% additional. The design is possible. The kind of dobbies what we produce in Palm are far more better than what we have in the mill. Comparing the price factor also, like for Palm, we have to just pay an upcharge of 20 cents. Like if suppose we had that quality which was 1.65, we just go paying 20 cents extra to have a dobby design over it. But in case of mill, it turns out to be more expensive. We'll end up paying 50 cents extra. So this is, again, wherever we have some complex dobbies or something, sometimes even the designs which are jacquard in the mill made can get made on a dobby loom in a Palm. So we have to explore this idea of putting as much development as possible into the Palm sector. The casual look, which is what is the idea of buying fabric out of India, is to have those casual look fabrics. So that casual look fabric also, what we get from the Palm is far more special than what we have mill made. The mill made are more formal, crisp, but we have a casual there which is more guff and fullness is from the Palm. The patchwork fabric is another speciality, that anything to do with patchwork fabric is out of India. So that has become our special feature. All the orders related to patchwork only come to India, and we can really control and manage these orders. Close to season. Sometimes there are orders which are so close to season that the mill, we have to go into the process and manage it all. It gets very difficult. So when we have orders which are very close to season, we can still look into Palm because there is a better control there. So Palm happens to be some area where we know that this is our strength and we should try to explore it as much as possible. And it's scattered in South India with a few names put up there. In Maharashtra, we have Bhiwandi, Malegaon, Surat in Gujarat, Panipat area in north. And these are a few fabrics to name, which should be basically sourced out of Palm. Like chambrays, we usually look for mill, 65 cents. Some more over there, just a few names. Then, of course, Autolim. Now, looking at the map that we saw earlier, and we know this is very scarcely scattered. And the special advantages is that you have to place an order of 5,000 yards. And a few fabrics definitely should go into mill is voile, cambric, poplin, this kind of fabric. Because yarn dyes are better for Palm, solid dyes are better for the mill made. I'll give a handout of these fabrics. It's difficult to, within this short span, it would be difficult for me to explain the regular qualities. I have handouts. I can pass the handouts to you all. These are the regular qualities. And also few benchmark prices. Because when we do the exercise, this would be useful because we should know the benchmark prices of the voile which goes from, now I have left the width open. That is the reason why I could not, because I'm leaving the, like, you know, from 1 to 1.50, a few fabrics to look into. Calico, damask, muslin, eyelet, chenille, silk, moire, denim. Is on infrastructure and government bureaucracy. Seek local experience in developing sourcing. Now, to conclude, I would say that broadly understand the factors involved in the sourcing, should be able to strategize sourcing by considering all factors holistically, because you can't make a thumb rule saying that sourcing is about this. It is multidimensional, and at the same time, you have to look into all the dimensions of sourcing and take your decision. One fabric which you said was extremely good for an order cannot be extremely good for the next order. So it depends about how you take the decision holistically. Emphasize on procurement management, which is consistently associated with rising performance. If you are having your strength in procurement, it shows your level of performance. That will, if you're a good sourcer, you are at a higher level. So sourcing is all about navigating yourself in the right direction. Thank you.